Hello everyone, this is my Module 15 reflection. Alright, question number 1. What are my thoughts on the gamification of education? Do I feel like this is helpful? What examples? Alright, well, I am all for this movement. Personally, I spent a lot of time playing video games in high school, middle school, and such, and I see a lot of benefits in them. Some people just see them as entertaining, and some of the educators today just see them as entertaining because a lot of them didn't really grow up playing them as much. Like some of the older ones didn't grow up playing them, so they don't understand that there are benefits. I know how to I know how to do a lot more because of video games than I would have without them. They teach you things without you realizing, you know, and that's kind of important because a lot of students don't want to learn. Just kind of simple as that. From my observations in math classes, at least, they just some don't want to learn, and this is a way to teach them without them realizing. And I feel like that would be really helpful. There are a lot of games out there that teach you logical thought, and those would be helpful to show you if you do one thing, then something will happen because of that. And in mathematics, logical thought is very important. It's extremely important, really. Just because once you do something, something happens because of it. You know, actions have consequences, and and they need to be able to learn it, and also they need to be able to see what the teacher is doing and be able to decipher what they're doing from just the work, you know? And it would help them in the long run if they could do that, because then not only could they replicate the work, but they could also understand why that they did that. And in the future, they would be able to replicate more difficult work. They would be able to use those concepts in more difficult work. And games are just an entertaining way to teach them to pay attention to details. I plan on using like Kahoot and some other quiz games and stuff like that. Just to just kind of as a way, easy review kind of a deal. Right, question number 2. What template did I use? All right, I used the Big Board template that was on the Watson College of Education website. It's a lot like Jeopardy, so I created a Jeopardy style game. I don't think the template was very user friendly. I mean, it wasn't bad. Like it showed you pretty much exactly what you need to do. However, some of the functionality behind it, I couldn't figure out. I'm not sure if I was doing something wrong, but I could never figure out the scoreboard feature. So, not sure why. Also, every time I opened it up, it kept saying that there was a bunch of errors, which I didn't see the errors. So, I tried to fix them, but it just kept compounding. I worked through most of the formatting issues and created a decent game, I believe. Also had some issues with copying stuff between slides, but I think it was user error. I think the template was pretty decent. All right, so question number 3. What are some examples of ways I could use these in the PowerPoint games in future classrooms? I personally don't see much use for them in the high school math classroom, at least. For middle schoolers, however, I see a lot of use. When the concepts are easier to explain and easier to do quickly, I could see a lot of quiz games or just little tiny games where they have to do something, they have to do a math problem to get something, to use that thing to have another math problem, Also, in middle school, they have extra days, like extra review days, and I see interactive PowerPoints as a good way to do reviews for middle schoolers. With high school, there's some concepts. Some of the concepts are just easier to do on paper, and it would just get progressively more difficult the higher level math that you went. I see geometry being as pretty much the highest level math that you could conceivably do these in often. There are some topics in even calculus where you could use it though, like if you're doing trig identities. That's a great way to do it, because you can like match stuff. And that would be really helpful. But overall, I really don't see much use in them in the higher level math classes. Lower level math classes, I definitely do. So if I teach those, I will be using them. So, all right, well, that's all I got. So hope you enjoyed it.